pretty entertaining. I'm streaming right now because of it.
I want to listen. Invite me.
Alright, hold on. We're at match point.
I'm eating some Olive Garden breadsticks. Don't get hard. Fuck. I don't want this one. Ugh. This one was too. I just got a bunch of hard pieces of fucking wood. I did. They're all hard. What the hell?
This dude Colazo joined, but you know, he's cool. Colazo, you want to look up scary short stories as well?
No, I'm just listening.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Alright.
I'm too lazy. And my phone is dead.
I mean, these are pretty interesting to listen to. Oh, I'm retarded. Okay, well, I'm gonna start. So, this one's called What I Saw on a Country Road. While in university, I love finding snakes. I was a biology student. So, a friend from the herpetology club, wow, that's weird, showed me this road that he would cruise for snakes. Cruising is when you drive slowly down an old back roads after dark looking for snakes that have slithered onto the warmer road to heat up. The road we took was about 4 miles and had around 4 houses on its entirety. We had taken a few laps on this road, and we were making our final pass. There are 2 houses near the beginning of the road, one at the end, and one near the middle. We were getting close to the center house when we saw movement on the left side of the road. There are a lot of animals, obviously, on this road, so we weren't surprised to see this. However, what shoots out is this kid, probably around 8 or 9, in torn blue jeans and a ripped dark t-shirt. Let me pick an operator before I continue. He takes one look at us, and his face is mixed with fear and pain. He looks back really quickly from where he had come. Out of it, then, across the road, the guy I'm with gets out of the car and chases to see if he's alright. I pull up the car to the point where the boy went into the woods. Okay, that's weird wording, god dang. I'm starting to get out of the car when my friend walks quickly back from the trail and just says, "Let's go now." We hop into the car and tear out of here. He says there's a graveyard about 10 yards into the woods where there were 5 gravestones with the same death date. They all had the same last name. One was a boy who was 9. We never came back to the rest of the summer. To that road. Jesus Christ. We usually go out once or twice a week. Next year, when my friend had graduated, I took my girlfriend out to the road. We had gone early to try to find different types of snakes. Different snakes tend to move at different points of dusk/night. We got to the house near the graveyard, and there's 3 men doing some yard work. I rolled down the window and explained what I was doing and asked them about the graveyard. Apparently, their dad's brother's family had all died when the space heater caught fire around 20 years ago. I kept pushing and asking about it, and they told me the firemen or whoever does it had found the bodies in the rubble, except the youngest son. But they assumed he was too far burned. I asked if they had a little brother that was 6'4", 250-pound man, said that he was the youngest. When I gave the description of the kid I saw, and they all went white. They all have individually seen the kid I was talking about, and he always runs into the gravesite. I've never been down that road again. These stories are worded weirdly, so I'm trying my best to like translate, you know. Oh, for real? Alright. Do you have a story, Trenton?
Enemy scan inbound. Starting your timer. They've ceased attempting to secure the container. Op 4 is securing the biohazard container. Protect the biohazard container. Your location has been compromised. Stop the hostiles from securing the container. Op 4 is securing the biohazard container. Intervene immediately. Op 4 secured the biohazard container. Mission failed.
Yeah. Yeah, I did that too. Do y'all have your voices shared so they can hear these as well? Well, since I'm streaming, if anybody wants to listen, you need your voices to be able to share. Otherwise, it sounds like I'm crazy and talking to myself. That's not the case, is it? Yay! Oh wait, no, not yay. Closet left. All right, so what you do is you go to party settings. Hold on, let me see. Let me find it real quick. Party settings allow your voice to be shared.
Always low. There you go.
All right. So,
Okay.
let's hear your story.
He stood against my window. I don't know why I looked up, but when I did, I saw him there. He stood against my window. His forehead rested against the glass. His eyes were still and light, and he smiled a lipstick red, cartoonish grin. He stood there in the window. My wife was upstairs sleeping. My son was in the crib, and I couldn't move. I froze and watched him looking past me through the glass. Oh, please no. His smile never moved away, but he put his hands up and slid it down the glass, watching me. What matted hair and yellow skin and face through the window. I couldn't do anything. I just stayed there, frozen. Feet still in the bushes. I was purring, looking into my home. He stood against my window. Don't be scared of the monsters. Just look for them. Look to your left, look to your right, look under your bed, look behind your dresser, and in your closet, but never look up. She hates being seen. What the fuck?
Okay. That one sounded like a poem type thing.
Yeah. It kind of was near the end.
Yeah. Alright, this one's a helpful spirit. A few weeks after my mom gave birth to me, she went to me in the middle of the night because I was crying. When she went in the room, she saw a dark figure of a man who she thought was my dad, holding me, and decided to go back to sleep. In the morning, she thanks my dad for taking care of me. As it turns out, my dad was not even awake then, and nobody else was in the apartment. It gets worse later. It gets worse later on in my life. Not only me, but my sisters, cousins, and friends have all seen it somewhere in our home. All on separate account, and we don't normally tell people about it unless they've seen it and follow us where we move to. And at this point, me and my family and I, have all learned to ignore it, though we know it's there. I mean, that's creepy. The wording on these are freaking annoying, honestly.
Yeah, but if I guess if you're like a really good reader, you'll be able to like get the tone down and everything. I mean, this is helping me read, honestly.
Yeah, but I'm not getting the tone down because they just freaking rape the grammar, dude.
Well, make it interesting. That's how I feel it.
Yeah, I guess.
Oh shoot, I could have supported you with some smokes. Oh wait, you're right there. Okay.
I feel retarded.
There's.
Trent. Oh, yeah. You saw him. Alright, when I was 12, me and my mom were watching TV in her bedroom. It was one of those really stuffy summer evenings. Stating the obvious, I said aloud. It is so hot in here. Immediately, the fan that was sitting on the dresser 5 feet away turned on. The switch couldn't really be flipped on by accident. It was pretty sticky and required a little bit of force to go from off to on. I can't really explain how it happened, but I like to think it was a friendly ghost. Are you looking for one?
I'm reading one real quick.
Oh, you read them to see if they're good. I just read the ones I find.
Alright, first words. Any day now, Jesus Christ. Any day now, she'll say her first words. My wife and I have been playful beating on what she'll say first, mama or dada. I can hear my wife groaning over and over while she feeds her mama's little girl. Mama loves you so much. Sometimes she's not even subtle about it. Say, mama, come on, mama. I don't mind it though. I still believe I'll win. When we first brought her home, she would scream and cry, and nothing my wife would say could calm her down. But I knew just how to hold her to help her fall asleep. Our daughter was a daddy's girl. My wife needed all the handicap she could get. I sit our daughter in the chair, and my wife and I begin babbling like chickens. Mama, Dada, say mama, who's daddy's baby? I pull the gag out of the little girl's mouth. Please, what do you want from me? Please let me go. My wife's smile falls from her face with a heavy heart. I put the gag back in as the girl starts to scream. I take her back to the room, lock her in, and shut the lights out. When I return, I find my wife crying. It's okay, honey. I'll tell her the next one will be better. I promise.
Secure the room. We need to protect
Wait,
the
what?
biohazard container.
Please let me
Something
go.
about kidnapping?
Oh my god, bro, it took me a second. Cause I always thought I thought it was a baby, dude. But the second he said gag, I was like, wait, pause.
Yeah, it was a kidnapping.
That's funny.
Why can't I hit it?
I mean, that's cruel, but that's
It's not funny, but
clever. That's what I meant to say.
Down
interesting.
to 10 seconds.
Scary short
5 seconds.
Yeah, that's what it is.
stories. Yeah, I know. I'm googling that. Yours are better than mine.
Op 4 drone has located the biohazard
I mean, I think they're pretty good. Not best.
Oh yay! This one has good grammar. Okay. I'm interested. Okay. Oh god, hold on. Let me not get lined real quick. Just kidding. I got lined. Anyways, so we bought an old house. My boyfriend and I. He's in charge of the new construction, converting the kitchen into the master bedroom, for instance, while I'm on wallpaper removal duty. The previous owner papered every wall and ceiling. Removing it's brutal but oddly satisfying. Hold on. The best feeling is getting a long peel similar to your skin when you're peeling off from a sunburn. I don't know about you, but I kind of make a game of peeling on the hunt for the longest piece before it rips. Under a corner section of paper, every room is a person's name and date. Curiosity got the best of me one night when I googled one of the names and actually discovered the person was actually a missing person. The missing date matches the date under the wallpaper. The next day I made a list of all the names and dates. Sure enough, each name was the missing person with dates to match. Notified the police, who naturally sent out the crime scenes team. I overheard one text say, "Yep, it's human." Human? What's human? Ma'am, where is this
the
material?
biohazard container.
Anyways, the human. Where's the material you removed from the walls already? This isn't wallpaper you were removing.
Biohazard container securing car. Take
Oh
out the
shit,
hostage.
he's in the hallway.
One friendly remaining.
Well, I thought that was a headshot. Okay.
All friendlies were eliminated.
Anyways, so, ma'am, where's the material you've removed from the walls already? This isn't wallpaper you were removing.
Are you done?
Yep.
Okay. A few years ago, my brother would get a call on the cell phone around 2 to 3 a.m. every night. He would answer it, and it was like a hellish sound noise. Like static mixed with screams. He changed his cell number after a month of this, and it stopped. Then after a week or so, it began. After a week or so, it began the exact same noise, exact same time. Finally, one day, he decided to black dial the call. It was an old man that had no clue what he was talking about. Still, the calls basically kept going. If he didn't answer it, it would call a few more times. No messages were left. He decided to say screw it, ended his contract with his phone company, switched to a new one, and then got another new number. You guessed it, the screaming static calls continued after a short delay. By this time, he was terrified every night. Unsure why this was happening, he black dialed the number again and got a different person. Around this time, he lost his job and his phone. The cell stopped, of course. His phone was disconnected now. So one day my mom asked me to listen to this weird message
Nicely done.
she
The
got from our home.
biohazard container has been
She
located.
started screaming. We showed my brother, and he was freaking out. He blacked out the number again, and it said this number was
10
disconnected.
seconds before
He
insertion.
never heard from it again after that.
5
Jeez.
seconds to go.
I hate it when my brother Charlie has to go away. My parents constantly try to explain to me how sick he is, that I'm lucky for having a brain where all the chemicals flow properly to their destinations like undammed rivers. When I complain about how bored I am without a little brother to play with, they try to make me feel bad by pointing out that his boredom likely far surpasses mine, considering his confined to a dark room in an institution. I always beg for them to give him one last chance. Of course, they did at first. Charlie has been back home several times, even shorter in duration than the last. Every time, without fail, it all starts again. The neighborhood cats with gouged out eyes show up in his toy chest. My dad's razors found dropped on the baby slide in the park across the street. Mom's vitamins replaced by bits of dishwasher tablets. My parents are hesitant now, using last chances sparingly. They say his disorder makes him charming, makes it easy for him to fake normalcy, and to trick the doctors who care for him into thinking he's ready for rehabilitation. That I would just have to put up with my boredom, if it means staying safe from him. I hate it when Charlie has to go away. It makes me have to pretend to be good until he's back. He woke to the huge insect-like creatures looming over his bed and screamed his lungs out. They hastily left the room, and he stayed up all night, shaking and wondering if it had been a dream. The next morning, there was a tap on the door. Gathering his courage, he opened it to see... Oh, wait, is this a different story? Oh, this is a different story. Yeah, no. So, yeah, it says... Yeah,
I got another one right here.
Yeah, the last one ended where it says, I had to pretend to be good till he's back.
If only I chose a better operator for this. Ah, shit. I fell down the hole.
I'll fall down the hole with you. Let's go, Trenton.
Be careful.
Activity. Neutralize the threat.
Who needs careful?
Last operator standing.
Try to pick up the person. They're in that room.
Let's go.
Sweet. That was an accident, but sweet. This happened to a friend of mine. She told me about it a year ago, so we'll call her M. M is in her late 20s and works at an English tutor in South Korea. One evening a few years ago, she was tutoring a high school boy. They were up studying pretty late, and the buses stopped running. Being a long way from his house, the boy asked if he could crash on her floor overnight and get the first bus next morning. M was very reluctant because inviting a teenager male student to stay the night didn't sound like a great idea. But he was begging her, and eventually she basically said yeah. They went back to her one-room apartment, and she got into the bed while he laid a blanket out on the floor, and they both fell asleep. A few hours later, maybe 2 a.m., the boy wakes up. I'm really hungry, he says. Em opens her eyes and looks up at him in disbelief. Food? Now? It's 2 a.m., go back to bed. But the student insists, no, I'm so hungry, let's eat something now. She tells him that there is some ramen. This doesn't satisfy him. He doesn't want ramen. There's a 24-hour place just down the road. Let's go there. Usually after 7 minutes of persuasion, the boy gets M to come with him to the restaurant. They leave the apartment and head out. As soon as they're on the street, a boy turns to M and says, I woke up in the middle of the night and looked under your bed. There's a man sleeping there. They called the police and discovered that a homeless man had been living in his apartment sleeping in bed for over 2 months. The boy only saw him because he was laying on the floor, so had a clear view under the bed. The police arrested the man. Thankfully, there was no other issue, but that was by far the creepiest thing that's ever happened to anyone I know.
Alright. I'm gonna skip the one I started reading because that's boring. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So, seeing red, the first day of school. Everyone loves the first day of school, right? New year, new classes, new friends. It's a day full of potential and hope, before all the dreary depressions of reality show up and ruin all the fun. I like the first day of school for a different reason, though. What the fudge? You see, I have a sort of power. When I look at people, I can sense a sort of aura around them. A colored outline based on how long the person has to live. Most everyone I meet around my age is by a solid green hue, which means they have plenty of time left. fair amount of them have a yellow-orange tinge to their auras, which tends to mean that a car crash or some other tragedy. Anything that takes people before their time, as they say. The fun is when the auroras venture into the red end of the spectrum, though. Every now and again, I'll see someone who's basically a walking stoplight. Those are the ones who get murdered or kill themselves. It's such a rush to see them and know their time is numbered. With that in mind, I always get to class very early so I can scout out my classmates' fate. The first kid who walked in class basically radiating red. I chuckled to myself. Too damn bad, bro. But as people kept walking in, they all had the same intense glow. I finally caught a glimpse of my rose-tinted reflection in the window, but I was too stunned to move. Our professor stepped in and locked the door. His aura a sickening shade of green.
He's about to kill him. Oh my god. The fuck? First of all, what would compel you to do that? Halo.
What?
What would compel a person to do that? Honestly.
Who knows? Past experiences?
Oh, you should have thrown it right there.
Prevent further access.
I was trying. I died. Oh dear Lord of Jesus, please help me.
Biohazard container securing.
Alright, what's yours?
Take out the hostile. Protect the biohazard container.
Alright.
Op 4.
My grandfather died last year sometime when my son was maybe a year old. We had dinner with the whole family every night, so my son had seen him several times. My grandfather was a very quiet, proud man, but when he thought he was alone or unseen, he would make silly faces at my son to get a laugh. A couple of nights after
Op 4 eliminated. Mission
my son,
successful.
who liked to crawl to bed with us in the middle of the night, started just laughing uncontrollably at like 2 a.m. So I get out of bed to see what was going on, and finally my son sitting in the middle of the living room in the dark laughing. I say, "Hey buddy, what are you doing?" In toddler speak, he says, "Papa, funny." I got a little nervous for some reason and went to pick him up and bring him to our room for the rest of the night. And as I'm hauling him away, he says, "Bye, Papa," and blows a kiss at absolutely nothing I can see.
Jeez. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, hold on, let me find a new one. They got the definition wrong. Oh god. It has been said that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. I understand the sentiment behind the saying, but it's wrong. I entered the building on a bet. I was strapped for cash and didn't buy into the old legends of the hotel to begin with. So $50 was more than enough to get me to do it. It was simple. Just reach the top floor, the 45th floor, shine my flashlight from a window. The hotel was old and broken, including the elevator, so that meant hiking upstairs. So up the stairs I went. As far as I reached the platform, I noted the old brass plaques displaying the floor numbers. 15, 16, 17, 18. I felt a little tired as I crept higher, but so far no ghosts, no cannibals, no demons, piece of
5
cake.
seconds to go.
I can't tell you how happy I was as I entered the last stretch of numbers. I joyfully counted them aloud at each platform. 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 44. I stopped and looked back down the stairs. I must have miscounted, so I continued up. 44. One more flight, 44. And then down 10 flights, 44. 15 flights, 44. It's been for so long as I can remember. So really, insanity isn't doing the same something repeatedly and expecting different results. It's knowing the results will never ever change. That the door leads to the same staircase, to the same number. It's realizing you no longer fall asleep. It's not knowing whether you've been running for days or weeks or years. It's when sobbing slowly turns into laughter.
Okay.
I like it. I like it. I like it. I love it. I'm into it.
There's someone in here, right here. Vigil, that's why.
Operator standing.
Alright, it's just a recruit left.
Secure the container.
Alright.
Container secure.
When I was growing up, one of my best friends told me about a very creepy situation involving him, his younger brother, and a man in the window. When my friend and his little brother were younger, they shared a bedroom. They're some years apart, but his younger brother was born with a multitude of different health issues, including multiple sclerosis, and he's confined with a wheelchair and cannot care for himself. So to keep an eye on him overnight when his parents couldn't, they shared a bedroom. One night, my friend randomly woke up for no in particular reason and happened to glance over his younger brother, but noticed something very startling. A strange slouched over of a man wearing a top hat looking in through the window behind his younger brother's crib. The first thing my friend did was jump up and turn the lights on, then ran into his parents' room to tell them what he saw. When his parents came back to their room to investigate, his younger brother was having a seizure in his crib. A few of his family members say it was his younger brother's guardian angel standing in the window that night. My friends believes it was death. It's all still pretty unsettling to me.
Jeez.
And creepy.
It's pretty. I mean, that's
Pretty gnarly, bro.
it's a little creepy.
Have you ever heard of a game called Persona?
I believe so. Explain it to me.
Like, there's 3 games that I know so far of Persona. Like, there's also older ones, Persona 3, Persona 4, and Persona 5.
What's the game
Right now,
about?
the 5th one. Alright, well, the 5th one is all of them are about people with distorted kingdoms and stuff, basically, like bad personalities.
Uh-huh.
And you go in, you defeat that, and then you basically make that better. Like, you
Locate the biohazard container.
basically make the society better because you took care of that one messed up person that was doing something really bad. Like, say they were a banker or something and they were screwing people over.
Yeah.
Oh, the baby just. But
Wait, what
they
about
were
the
screwing
baby?
people
Oh,
over.
you invited you?
I'm not playing Fortnite. But basically say the banker was like scamming people, like making their lives bad. Basically, some
The
teenagers or
biohazard
whatever
container has
would
been located.
go into a different dimension or whatever,
10 seconds.
use their personas that they captured or what they had. You were always the main character that had like 37 different personas that you could use. But
The biohazard
basically
container
helped cure that person of bad stuff.
Okay. It's interesting.
But I have this big TV. It reminds me of Persona 4 or 3. No, yeah, 4. Basically, their different dimension that they went through was through TV, and I think that's pretty cool. I'm so sorry.
Nah, it's not cool. It gives me a chance to read your story.
Then I accidentally shot somebody.
Oh, I couldn't shoot because you were in front of me. I thought you were apologizing to me.
Oh, shit.
Well, anywho, my daughter woke me up around 11:50 last night. My wife and I picked her up from her friend Sally's birthday party, brought her home, and put her to bed. My wife went into the bedroom to read while I fell asleep watching the Braves game. "Daddy," she whispered, tugging my shirt sleeve, "guess how old I'm going to be next month?" "I don't know, Beauty," I said as I slipped on my glasses. "How old?" She smiled up and held up 4 fingers. "It is 7:30 now. My wife and I have been up for almost 8 hours. She's still refusing us to tell us where she got them." Oh.
Yeah.
Held up.
That's the extended version.
What?
That's you're reading the one where it's like, "Daddy, there's someone underneath my bed or on top of my bed."
No, it's not that. It's she held up 4 fingers, as in they're not her fingers.
Oh. Never mind.
Oh, you want me to read another one while you play?
One op 4 remaining.
Yeah, sure.
So, Timekeeper. He had been given the watch on his 10th birthday. It is an ordinary gray plastic wristwatch in every respect except for the fact it was counting down. That is all of the time you have left on this world, son. Use it wisely. And indeed he did. As the watch ticked away, the boy, now a man, lived life to the fullest. He climbed mountains and swam oceans. He talked, laughed, and lived and loved. The man was never afraid, for he knew exactly how much time he had left. Eventually, the watch began its final countdown. Let me grab an operator. The old man stood looking over everything he had done, everything he had built. 5. He shook his hands with his old business partner, the man who had long been his friend and confidant. 4. His dog came and licked his hand, earning a pat on the head for its companionship. 3. He hugged his son, knowing that he has been a good father. 2. He kissed his wife on the forehead one last time. 1. The old man smiled and closed his eyes. Then nothing happened. The watch beeped once and turned off. The man stood standing there, very much alive. You would think that in that moment he would have been overjoyed. Instead, for the first time in his life, the man was scared.
Because he doesn't know when he's gonna die.
Yep.
Oh my god. Dang. Oh, I'm not reading this. This is about imaginary friend.
Barricade the room.
What?
Need to protect the biohazard container.
Something about imaginary friend. I'm not reading that.
Read it. Read it. Read it. I'm sorry. It's over. Read it, Trenton. The goal of this is to scare you. Alright.
Let me just set stuff.
The goal of this is to get yourself scared.
If you have an imaginary friend, there's something wrong with you.
I've never had an imaginary friend, to be honest.
Apparently, my dad told me that, like, I tried to have one. Apparently.
You're just not imaginative enough.
I don't know. You like shut that down, I guess. It's like, yeah, that's not right.
He said, that's not happening, son. He gave you a hearty slap. He said, Dad, look, my imaginary friend. No.
Basically. Alright. Just set this shit down. I'm gonna go and hide in boat room.
Camera in position.
Right here. Alright. When I was younger, I had an imaginary friend who lived in this massive white dresser. We'd chilled out, and I voluntarily remembered him telling me stories, although I have absolutely no recall of what they actually were. I remember one day talking to my parents about it. Dad traveled quietly a bit, so he wasn't up to date with what I was into. And when I started telling him about my dresser buddy, he wanted to know his name. It was something innocent like Peter or Patrick, but I can still see him going white in the face. I drew Peter/Patrick out for him. The very next day, him and my uncle took out that dresser and burned it. It was until a few years later when I found out my dad's little brother, my uncle, also had the same friend with the same name who lived in the same white dresser. After a few months of this imaginary friendship, my uncle started having night terrors and couldn't sleep because of Peter/Patrick. It got so bad that they had to move him out of his room before he managed to get back to normal.
Kusel, you want to join us?
Yeah.
All friendlies were eliminated.
So, Cool Soul, you want to know what we're doing? I don't think his mic is unmuted.
Is it unmuted?
I don't know if he's here.
No.
Alright, you want to know what we're doing? We're playing casuals, and what we're doing is we are reading scary stories to each other while we play the casual. It's actually quite interesting. It's fun. Anyways, I'll start. No, some of them are kind of creepy. Anyways, when my sister Betsy and I were kids, our family lived for a while in a charming old farmhouse. We loved exploring its dusty corners and climbing the apple tree in the backyard. But our favorite thing was the ghost. Achoo, bless me, god dang it. We called her Mother, because she seemed so kind and nurturing. Some mornings, Betsy and I would wake up, and on each of our nightstands, we'd find a cup that hadn't been there the night before. Mother had left them there, worried that we'd get thirsty in the night. She just wanted to take care of us. Among the house's original furnishings was an antique wooden chair, which we kept against the back wall of the living room, where we were preoccupied watching the TV or playing the game. Mother would inch that chair forward across the room towards us. Sometimes she'd manage to move it all the way to the center of the room. We always felt sad putting it back against the wall. Mother just wanted to be near us. Years later, long after we moved out, I found an old newspaper article about the farmhouse's original occupant. A widow. She'd murdered her 2 children by giving them each a cup of poisoned milk before bed. Then she hanged herself. The article included the photo of the farmhouse's living room with the woman's body hanging from a beam. Beneath her, knocked over, was that old wooden chair, placed exactly in the center of the room.
I got a
Yeah.
question. You're not a girl, are you?
No, he's not.
Okay. Oof. No, listen. I have a good reason for this, okay? Before, there were 2 other females that joined. Not before, but like,
Oh, are you talking
Halo
about
knows what I'm
Marissa
talking
and Summer?
yeah. Anyways, I thought they were little kids. And...
They got mad at
Wow.
him.
Well, yeah. So I just want to make sure before I, assume. But you don't know me, okay?
You don't know me, but 30 bucks PayPal.
Heck yeah. Alright.
Glaz is so broken, that's why I love using him. Anyway, so yeah, cool. Could you get scary stories lined up on your phone? Because we're each gonna take a turn reading.
Why not, bro? You're a little girl? Question mark, question mark? Oh, snap. Yes.
One friendly operator remaining.
Oh, I'm retarded. Hold on. Are you serious? There we go.
Ooh, camping story.
Oh, he's ready.
Been eliminated.
Anyways. Alright. Tree yours.
Me? Okay.
Yep.
Spring break of 2010. My buddies and I decided to camp out on an island at a lock lake. One night, as we were cooking food and drinking beer, a cano floats by with one guy in it. He asked how we're doing, and we invited him to our island for grilled meat and beers. Being in South Arkansas, we naturally assumed that everyone is friendly and wanted to hang out. His name was Kurt, and he was super friendly but seemed to be sad. We asked him what was up, and he just replied, "Oh, nothing really. It's just that my friends are probably worried about me." Hold on. He looked at me and winked. They'll find out soon enough. That still haunts me to this day. Everyone liked Kurt and noticed that it was getting dark and he had been drinking. We offered him to let him stay with us that night. He declined, saying that he had to get to where he was going, and he seemed very adamant about it. I asked where he was heading, thinking maybe we could take a ride or a jet ski or something. Kurt ignored the question and said, "You boys don't know how lucky you are." He offered him to get out and left. We didn't think much about it. The next morning we woke up early to do some fishing. We were fishing. A police officer boat pulls up. The officer asks if we were part search. If we were part of the search party that found the body. We obviously had no clue what he was talking about, so he tells us a story about a young man in a Canada that disappeared last week. The Harry drivers found his body at the bottom of the lake 2 days before. The young man's name was Kurt Clark. This is so freaky for us that we all panicked. We all packed up and left camp that day. So, a guy that went missing for a week, showed up out of nowhere and was found dead, 2 days earlier, I think. Or presumed dead. Nice.
Alright, cool soul. Do you want to insert your turn here, or you want to wait till you get in the game to start? Yeah, we're doing short stories.
You will be detected by hostiles. You have been spotted. You have entered an enemy-controlled area. Leave now.
Alright, Trent, I'm coming back to you.
What?
I'm coming back to you.
Okay. The fact that I've heard that story before still creeps me out.
Ooh, nice job. Alright. Alright, so I'm singing or is Trenton doing it?
Where? Where's Blackbeard? Is
Who's
that
saying?
Blackbeard out there?
Not saying. Who told the story before you? Cool. Was it me or Trenton?
It was me.
Oh, alright, then I'm going. Ahem. The perfect plan. On Monday, I came up with the perfect plan. No one even knew we were friends. On Tuesday, he stole the gun from his dad. On Wednesday, we decided to make our move during the following day's pep rally. On Thursday, while the entire school was in the gym, we waited just outside the doors. I wanted to use the gun on whoever walked out first. Then he would take the gun and go into the gym blasting. I walked up to Mr. Quinn, the guidance counselor, and shot him in the face. 3 times. He fell back into the gym, dead. The shots were deafening. We heard screams in the auditorium. No one could see us yet. I handed him the gun and whispered, "Your turn." He ran into the gym and started firing. I followed a moment later. He hadn't hit anyone yet. Kids were scrambling and hiding. It was mayhem. I ran up behind him and tackled him. We struggled. I wrenched the gun out of his hands, turned it on him, and killed him. I closed his mouth forever. On Friday, I was appointed a hero. It was indeed the perfect plan.
Why?
Oh, he killed his friend and made him look like a hero.
And his friend agreed upon that.
Actually, they weren't friends. He barely even knew the dude.
Oh.
As it stated in the perfect plan.
Come on. Weird.
Nice.
Oh, yes. Target his ass.
Alright, it's your turn, Trent.
Alright. I was stuck in a bathroom in a creepy house my family was staying at. I was home alone. You had to force the door into the jam to get it closed and latched, only to find out that the knob didn't work the latch. I heard the side door slam shut downstairs. I thought my dad was home. I called him, Dad, I'm stuck in the bathroom. I heard him walking on the hardwood through the kitchen, down the hall, stopped at the bottom of the stairs. Dad, I'm locked in, I yelled. I immediately heard him running up the stairs and stopped at the top. Once more I exclaimed, I'm locked in the bathroom. 4 more steps to the other side of the door. Dad? Boom! The door swung open and slammed into the wall. I stepped out into the hall to look around. Nobody was there. Nobody at all. I politely said thank you and went straight to bed.
Wow, he's intelligent.
Find the biohazard container location.
Hey, at least he said thank you.
Yeah, he thanked him, you know.
Whatever it was.
Politeness for when it counts.
Well done.
They got a Lejano. A Jaeger.
Ooh, a eager boy.
Alright, cool. I think it's your turn, right? Cool. No, no, you can't get me. I'm too fast for you, buddy boo.
10 seconds before insertion. Insertion in 5 seconds. Proceed to the biohazard container and secure it.
Yeah, that's
just redo
cool.
that one.
Yeah, we're not judging you. We're just here to have a good
That's
time.
actually a really good. That's actually a really good one. That you're,
Ow.
I am deploying a drone.
Halo's not saying anything right now because we're kind of focused in this match real quick.
Yeah.
Hey, oh my god, I hate this fight. Jaeger 1 health, oh my god.
Oh. Funny. In fact, I think I read that one earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
Anyways, if God exists, why is there so much evil in the world? It's a common question, but it's misplaced. All things must have balance. Light and dark, good and evil, sound and silence. Without one, the other one cannot exist. So if that's true, then God does nothing to fight evil. That might be your follow-up question. Of course, he fights evil, relentlessly. I am Dartalion, one of his most holy and righteous angels. I roam the earth, disposing of evil wherever I find it. I kill monsters you don't ever want to know about. I crush them completely so you can sleep at night. You humans have no idea how many of you live because of the work I do. But what about Stalin, Hitler, Ted Bundy, Jack the Ripper? Well, those are minor ones I had to let live, for balance. The ones I destroy are too horrible and vile to survive. What's funny is while I would wager you would never have heard the name Dartalion in any religious text, I bet you heard of me, Americans. For example, have their own name for me, Sudden Infant Death Syndrome.
Securing the container once the threat is neutralized.
Wow. Okay.
Op 4 eliminated. Friendly mission successful.
Alright. My turn, yeah?
Whose turn is it? Oh yeah, it's your turn.
Alright, so there's 20 of these mini stories. So, basically like 1 to 3 sentences. Alright. I was having a pleasant dream when the sound... Alright, I was having a pleasant dream when what sounded like hammering woke me. After that, I could barely hear the muffled sound of dirt covering the coffin over my own screams. Number 2, I woke up to hear knocking on glass. At first, I thought it was the window until I heard it coming from the mirror again.
Wow.
I knew it would be this lonely. I would have been cremated instead. What the fuck?
Nice.
Number 4, there was a picture in my phone.
Read
of
up
me
to
sleeping.
7. Read 7 and
I
then-
live alone. Number 5. My wife woke me up last night to tell me that there was an intruder in our house. She was murdered by an intruder 2 years ago. Number 6. I never go to sleep, but I keep waking up. Number 7. This is the one that you were trying to say. The last thing I saw was my alarm clock flashing 12:07 before she pushed her long rotting nails through my chest, her other hand muffling my screams. I sat bolt up, relieved that it was only a dream, but as I saw my alarm clock read 12:06, I heard my closet door creak open.
Rip. I. fun.
Yeah. Okay.
Trenton,
Yeah.
did your dad tell you to go to bed, or did he say he's going to bed?
He's going to bed.
Alright. Well, I was about to say, bro, no, Trenton. Okay, anyways.
I just
Alright.
can't tell any more stories. I have to be quiet.
Alright, we'll fixate between me and Cool then. You can try to, yeah, you can try to whisper and whatnot, like keep your voice low. Anyways, hell,
Right next to mine.
there was no pearly gate. Yeah, turn off your mic volume, that's smart. There was no pearly gate. The only reason I knew I was in a cave was because I had just passed the entrance. The rock wall rose behind me with no ceiling in sight. I knew this was it. That this was what religion talked about, what man feared. I had just entered the gate to hell. I felt the presence of the cave as if it was living, breathing creature. The stench of rotten flesh overwhelmed me. Then there was a voice. It came from inside and all around. Welcome. Who are you? I asked, trying to keep my composure. You know, the thing asked. I did know. You are the devil, I stuttered quickly, losing my composure. Why me? I've lived as good as I could. The silence took over the space. Thank you.
5 seconds to insertion.
Thank you. Where was I? Why me? Whoops. The silence took over as the space as my words died out. It seemed like an hour went by before the response came. What did you expect? The voice was penetrating but patient. I didn't know. I never believed any of this, I uttered. Is this why I'm here? Silence. I continued. They say the greatest trick you ever pulled was convincing the world you don't exist. No, the greatest trick I ever pulled was convincing the world that there is an alternative. There is no God. I shivered. The cave trembled with the words, I am God. Okay. Trenton, you want to slowly read one of yours? Really?
Loading new
Parents
magazine.
live, like, my parents' room is like right next to my room. Oh my god.
Op 4 eliminated.
By the way, the stream stopped because of my bad internet.
It's fine.
You know what? Should I start up a new one?
If you want to.
Let me see how long this last one lasted. If it's more than 30 minutes, I'll start up a part 2. Let's see. Oh, it was 34 minutes ago. What do you guys think? Should I start up part 2?
Secure the
Sure.
room. We need to
Alright.
protect the biohazard container.
Oh, wait, no, I'm still on air. I thought it stopped. My bad. Alright, this one's labeled The Accident.
Op 4 drone has found a biohazard
Hold on.
container.
The Accident. You know, I woke up, I peed myself. Story over. Alright, so. It was 1 a.m. and the guy, Haverson, sat in his dark living room. He hadn't moved for over an hour. The accident earlier that evening kept playing over and over in his mind. The light turned red, but he was in a hurry and accelerated. An orange blur came from his right. In a split second, there was a violent jolt. Then the bicyclist rolled across the hood and fell out of sight on the pavement. Horns blared angrily and he panicked, stepping on the gas and screeching away from the chaos into the darkness, shaken, and keeping an eye on his rearview mirror until he got home. Why did you run, you idiot? He'd never committed a crime before this, and punished himself by imagining years in jail. His career gone, his family gone, his future gone. Why not go to the police right now? You can't afford a lawyer. Then someone tapped on his front door, and words suddenly crumbled beneath him. They found me. There was nothing he could do but answer it. Running would only make matters worse. His body trembling, he got up, went to the door, and opened it. A police officer stood under the porch light. "Mr. Halverson?" he asked the grim officer. He let out a defeat sigh. "Yes, let me. I'm terribly sorry, but I'm afraid I have some bad news. Your son's bike was struck and hit and run by a driver this evening. He died at the scene. I'm very sorry for your loss." He basically ran over his son and ran away. But he didn't know. Yeah, he didn't know it was his son, but he thought he was going to jail when the officer came to him.
It's fucked.
Reload!
Interesting.
Yeah.
Death Wish
It's fine.
IRL.
You can always find a new girlfriend.
Babes in position. Loading new mine.
No, I'm just kidding.
It's just terrible.
Loading new magazine.
Bro, I got so scared. Yeah, I know, I hear him.
Babes in position.
It's probably Thatcher.
Yeah. Oh, shh. Alright, Trent, you're gonna watch stairs and the door. You watch stairs and the door, I'm watching over here.
Down to 15 seconds.
Yeah, don't worry.
Op 4, last
Nice.
operator standing. Op 4 is securing the container. Op 4 eliminated. Mission successful.
Good job.
Alright, whose turn is it? Mine? Alright,
Dude, nice kill, Halo. I just looked at that on the stream.
next time you'll... Wow. Alright, this one's called Next Time You'll Know Better. Have you ever... Hold on. Have you ever walked into a room and found a vampire? No, not the sexy kind, but a foul creature with bony limbs and ashen skin. The kind that snarls as you enter, like a beast about to pounce. The kind that roots you to the spot with its sunken, hypnotic eyes, rendering you unable to flee as you watch the hideous thing uncoil from the shadows. Has your heart started racing through your legs, though your legs refuse to? Have you felt time slow as the creature crosses the room in the darkness of a blink? What? In the darkness of a blink. Have you shuddered with fear when it places one clawed hand atop your head and another under your chin so it can tilt you, exposing your neck? Have you squirmed as its rough, dry tongue slides down your cheek, over your jaw, to your throat in slithering search that's seeking your artery? Have you felt its hot breath release in a hiss against your skin when it probes your pulse? The flow that leads to your brain. Has its tongue rested there, throbbing slightly, as if savoring the moment?
Insertion in 10
Have you then experienced a sinking, sucking blackness as you discovered that not all vampires feed on blood? Some feed on memories. Well, have you? Maybe not. But let me rephrase the question. Have you ever walked into a room and suddenly forgot why you came in?
Halo, I didn't know you had a elite skin for Sledge.
Oh, I did, yeah. You stream stalker. Actually, Trenton, you want to read or you good? You Gucci?
Oh, that's fine.
Are you top floor? By it's fine.
Oh, yeah,
Do you mean as in you want to read or?
the other kid needs to like approve for his voice to be shared.
Oh, cool. You need to go to party settings and approve your voice. No, none of your stories have been heard.
Yeah, none of them.
Alright, Trenton, thanks for watching the stream and pointing that out.
Yeah. I
I
just
gotta do
noticed.
that, Trent. You shit. Gotta expose me like that, dude.
Come on, you don't just jump outside and get away with that shit.
Let me rephrase the question.
Profession, right?
I don't know where she ran. You. He's crawling away.
Drone is deployed.
Aw, bloody bollocks. Oh, let me try this again.
False.
Okay.
Ah, damn.
They both have shoddy Bugattis, right?
Shotgun gives a good punch, that's for sure.
Nice.
I didn't even. I thought they were upstairs. I had no idea where OBJ was.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Did you get kicked or did you leave?
He left.
He left.
That's a nice looking gun.
I know. Especially with the black camo.
Alright, cool. Go to party settings. Go to the party, and then go to party
did.
settings. You activated your voice.
Oh man.
I'm opening an alpha pack, and then I'm, you know.
Hey, you got an alpha pack.
Yeah, man.
Are you
You know?
getting off?
No, I'm not getting off. I'm gonna start up another one.
Okay. Oh, I got an alpha pack too.
There it goes.
Open this bad boy. Oh, I got a rare.
Oh, me too.
Oh, I got a floppy disk.
I got a charm. I got a keep calm and return fire.
Ooh, nice.
Alright, you want me to read?
Sure.
The doctor pulled the stethoscope. Wow, this is not gonna be scary anymore. Ear tips out and hung the device around his neck. Mr. Weatherby, all of your tests have come back negative, and my examination shows nothing abnormal. Adam knew what was coming next. I'm not crazy, doctor. I'm sorry, but there's no physical reason for why you occasionally lose control of your hands.
At night.
Oh, someone took glass. Why you can occasionally lose control of your hands. A psychologist can help. I don't need therapy, I need answers. They seem to have a life of their own. I can't hold a job, I'm under investigation for assault, I almost killed my neighbor. This can't go on. I'll try anything at this point.
Maybe probably did.
After 2 weeks on a new medication, Adam saw no progress and grew increasingly depressed. He was convinced that despite what the doctor said, it was not a psychological problem. That night, a frustrated, angry Adam sat in a chair and drank bourbon. Drunk and hopeless, he stumbled to the garage and started the table saw, then slowly lowered his wrist towards the screaming blade. Detective Armstrong entered the garage with several uniformed officers, stood over the blood-soaked body. So what do we got, he asks, taking in the blood-splattered scene. This is a weird one, Detective. How so? Take a look at the body. He apparently chopped off his hands with the table saw and bled to death. Armstrong knelt down. And we can't find his hands anywhere.
Insertion
What
in
the
10
fuck?
seconds.
They had him on over there.
5 seconds before insertion.
Did somebody else want to read, or you want me to read another one?
Biohazard container location unknown.
I'll go.
Alright,
You want to see what true horror looks like?
sure.
Go to the mirror.
Scatty! Very, very scatty!
Alright, be careful, Halo.
Do you know where they're at?
Yep, they're... The objective's here.
Oh,
Oh.
alright, I'm not gonna go take that.
I'm at it without even realizing.
Oh, you. God damn it.
Is anybody watching your stream?
Trenton,
Besides
that's about it.
Trex?
Oh, right here. Right here. Halo, shoot the wall, shoot the wall.
Swapping maps.
Take off.
Launching drone.
Anybody in here? We're good.
Swapping maps.
Where's the fucking camera?
It's a Valk, so it could be
1
anywhere.
op 4 remaining. Hostile activity
Thunder.
neutralize the threat.
Alright, nice job, y'all.
Op 4 eliminated.
Tell me this doesn't sound racist.
What? Was that somebody else? Oh no. Alright. Fallers by Dastard. People started falling from the sky by the close of a decade. They were never clothed, always naked. Always a petrifying grin on their faces. It had been just a few at first, but then hundreds and thousands would fall at the time, destroying cars, homes, and blocking off highways. Strange discoveries were made upon research. They were human, but lacked any blood, intestines, and even a heart. No one could explain the hideous grins they had, or even where it came from. It was a woman in Costa Rica who made the latest and most disturbing discovery. She recognized one of the fallen bodies as a long-dead relative, one who died back when she was a teenager. Then more identifications were made. Soon people were picking out their long-dead loved ones out of video feeds. Oh, sorry, let me let you pass, and I'm gonna reinforce. Out of video feeds, cadaver piles, and crematoriums. No one could explain why they were coming back falling from the sky. And even more distressing, after disposing of the bodies, it wouldn't be long until the same body came plummeting from the sky again. You could not get rid of them. No matter what,
Trex.
people were getting killed by the higher volume of falling bodies. And soon
Trex,
after
can you come here?
burial, they too began to fall. My mother was killed when a body landed on her car, crushing her. The next
Put a
week,
Jaeger right
the
there.
news reported on a body that had gotten lodged in an airplane
No,
windshield.
here.
I
Here
saw
on the wall.
my mother's grinning face, the happiest I had ever seen her. They say, when hell is full, the dead shall walk the
That's
earth.
all I wanted.
What about heaven?
Nice.
I'm sorry.
It's fun.
Hey, 2 people. Welcome to Scary Stories. So basically, what we're doing is we're playing Rainbow. Well, sorry, we're sucking at Rainbow while we
Scan inbound.
read scary stories.
That's because you suck doesn't mean you all suck.
What's funny is that I'm watching, and it's just another person that's watching.
Probably his mom.
No.
Mom, I made it. I'm famous.
Starting the clock.
Oh my god.
2 people. Hey, what's your YouTube channel?
Protect the
Man?
biohazard
My name.
container.
Oh, I'm retarded.
Galo, right?
Biohazard container. Intervene
Yep.
immediately.
Alright, the happiest day of my life.
The biohazard container.
I watched as my soon-to-be father-in-law held his daughter's hand as he walked down the aisle. Tears streamed down his face as the wedding march that played in the background reminded him that in a few minutes he'd be watching me hold his daughter's hand and slipping on her ring. He walked up to the altar and I took a hold of her hand, grinning from ear to ear. It was the happiest day of my life. My bride's father got down to his knees and started begging. Please, I did what you asked. Just please give my daughter back. I glared at him. Shut up and stop ruining the moment. If you sit back down and enjoy the ceremony, maybe I'll tell you where I've hidden the rest of her body.
Grinning from ear to ear.
Oh, well, no, don't play it back. Don't, Jen.
What?
Don't play it back. That's not good. Oh, then who is that? Cool Soul? Hi, I'm your mom. Totally your mom. Bro, Rodon, you're my mom? I found you, mom. After all these years. Come back to me. Please.
So, like the video. Oh, no.
Pretty sure I disowned you, but okay.
Don't disown me, mom.
Biohazard container has been located.
Leaves, never comes back.
leaves the stream. Bye, I've never loved you anyways.
Oh my god.
Hidden.
Alright, story.
Where are you? I scream. Panicked, I run through the abandoned farm.
10 seconds.
I can't find her. Not in the old house, not in the barn. I run into the empty field. Heart racing. As I scan the area, I run into a mound of dirt and trip, sprawling to the ground. Getting up, it hits me. Abandoned farm. I tripped over the freshly tilled earth. Crouching down, I started frantically clawing with my hands, scooping handfuls of dirt. I hit something hard. Wood. Are you in there? I cry, pressing my ear to the wood. I hear muffled cries. I start digging again, but I realize it's taking too long. Look around, I see a guarding shed. I sprint to it, ripping the door open. I see a shovel, still caked in dirt, probably the same one the bastard buried her with. I grab it, running back. I start digging with purpose. Soon the wooden box is exposed. I toss the shovel and rip the crate. She stares back at me, eyes wide, bound, gagged, but alive. I sigh with relief. Thank God I reach into my bag, pulling out my rag and chloroform. I crouch down, placing it over her face. She struggles, faints, and I toss her over my shoulder. "Ah, hell," my brother says, as I walk back with a chuckle smirk. "You found her."
Fuck
"Yep.
me.
You almost had me, though," I laugh. "Alright, my turn. Where'd you put her?" I gesture to the creek area. "Somewhere over there. Drowning's an issue, though." "Jerk," he says, running off with a smile. Watching him go. I love adult hide-and-seek.
Jesus.
Family fun time. No, I'm just kidding.
The hero? The hero? Shit.
Fuck yeah!
Down to one.
No way I didn't kill Smooth. I'm probably gonna go to bed after this.
Oh, alright.
Bedtime?
Cause I gotta go on base tomorrow to do something.
Alright.
Alright.
That sounds fair. Me and Cool Soul will continue.
Fuck yeah, 1v1.
I'm still gonna be reading stories and whatnot, you know.
Yeah, I'll probably be listening to him.
Alright, that sounds fair.
I even they're in the fucking plane.
Thank you.
Welcome. Glad I could be of service. Yeah, everybody did. They're both in their room. No, they're both in room.
Alright, thank you.
Okay, one's in like the little small room next to it.
Alright.
One's in. One's in that room, the one you're looking at right now. Yeah, that one.
Oh my god, this video.
Get the buff in her. Shoot. Mark it. They're prone. One's down.
Don't worry. Keep marking.
Standing up.
Remaining.
Alright.
5 seconds left.
You hit her. You hit her.
Resume securing the container once you secure
Oh, you
the
left.
container.
Oh, you just went out. It's good to the front. Front.
No, I thought it said I downed her.
Has been eliminated.
Frick, I'm
Nah,
sorry about that, y'all.
That's alright. Hey, she fucking teabagged you.
Damn.
On my, I wasn't looking at the yellow thing, but I assumed it said I downed her. I didn't realize it said first.
It's alright. It's alright.
It's cool. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, y'all. Anyways, let me just read the next one. My favorite support group. Look, I'll be the first to admit, I'm a complete bastard. I'm also lazy. I'm only here to find the idiot because there's almost always an idiot. This support group is pretty typical. We connected online, decided on a quiet place, and we're all sitting cross-legged in a circle. Real kumbaya crap. Jerome takes the lead, pouring everyone a cup of tea as he starts talking. I'm Jerome. You could drink your tea, but only after explaining why you're here. I'll start. Jerome tells us he's never been loved. I can see why. The guy's ugly as a sin. He keeps his tea while the mosey chick speaks next. Mayu, she says. My parents, short and sweet, no blubbering. Gotta admire Mayu. She's probably not the idiot.
Op 4
Talk.
located the biohazard.
Next to talk are the legless veteran, a broke businessman, a needle-tracked junkie, and a diseased old crone. Then it's my turn. I'm an ass. Everyone hates me. I take a loud, annoying syrup of oolong as a fat kid with a black eye goes next, telling his boring fat sob
5 seconds
story afterwards. We're sitting all quietly when Jerome kneels over. Then Mayu's eyes roll back and she slumps forward. Only the fat kid reacts. What's happening? He whines. I thought this was a suicide support room. Found the idiot. It is, I say, spitting out my mouth full of tea. They support it. No one wants to die alone. Kid. Oh, how Ghost Whitey turns, looking into his cup. I love it. These suicide meetups are the saddest dream, and I never have to lift a finger. Told you, I'm a lazy bastard.
Reinforce the wall. Fortify the wall.
Upstairs. It's like 30 health. Or 40.
Alright.
Yeah, towards the other one. What? The bug room. Text. I don't know. Oh, Halo.
Nice. Alright, I think I just got another comment. God dang it, hold on. I did. I got 5. Hold on. Some dude named Trap says, hi, is this Minecraft? Try again, buddy boo.
It's even better, dude.
Anyways,
Roblox.
Securing the biohazard container.
next story. This one's called Y Lim 3. Or, that's the best I'm gonna pronunciate that.
Op 4, last operator standing. Protect the biohazard container.
Nice.
Op 4 eliminated.
Alright, little Emily vanished last year. Now they're pouring new sidewalks in my neighborhood. And I found her name in the wet cement. Written in remembrance. But it is written in reverse. And from below.
The fuck, dude? I can't see the comments. That sucks.
Alright, the eyes are watching me. I bought a new house in the small town of Withrop. The house was cheap, but the most important part was that I needed to get away from the city. A few months ago, I had a run-in with a stalker. While I had managed to get him arrested, I couldn't shake the feeling of eyes constantly watching me. I felt like there were eyes everywhere, at home and on the street. So I decided to move out into the country, to somewhere with less people. Just for a peace of mind. The house itself was big and somewhat old, but otherwise very welcoming. The agent who introduced me to the house had been required to mention that a serial killer had lived here in the past, which is why the house was so cheap. However, he and later my next door neighbor Sarah both told me to pay the thought no mind. 4 other owners had lived in the house since then, and all of them were happy with it. I loved the house. Its interior furnishings were beautiful and very comfortable. The people of Withrop were friendly, often bringing overly fresh baked pastries or inviting me over for dinner.
10 seconds to go.
Get-togethers, they said, were the key to making sure everyone who lived in Withrop loved
5
it there.
seconds.
Yet after a week, I stopped loving it. Ba-da-ba-ba. Anyways,
Proceed to biohazard
the feeling of someone watching returned, worse than before. I tried to ignore it, but soon I started losing sleep. Giant bags grew under my eyes, and I began yawning, almost as much as I breathed. Sarah was kind enough to let me stay in her house for a few nights. It was during this time that I heard the legend of Forrest Carter, the serial killer who had lived in my house. While no one knows his exact kill count, Carter, also known as the Withrop Peacock, was a man with extremely severe case of narcissism. Legends say that he couldn't fall asleep if he didn't feel like he was being watched. He was finally arrested for putting up a scarecrow to watch him during the night. Only it wasn't a scarecrow. Carter had murdered a 17-year-old girl just so her corpse could stare at him. The story gave me shivers, and after I went home, I felt like there were hundreds of pairs of eyes just watching. No matter how I turned, Tuesday, however, was the first day that I acted out. I was cooking breakfast when I felt the eyes. Instinctively, out of fear, I threw my kitchen knife, which lodged itself into the wall. As I pulled it out, I found myself staring at a pair of eyes, pickling in the form something. I've been watching the police peel away the drywall in my house for hours now. So far, they found 142 pairs of eyes in little glass jars. The scariest thing was, each and every one of them was staring at me. Oh, that's so cute. It's so cute, isn't it? Totally not scary and making me want to be scared and stuff.
Shit's creepy. Upstairs.
Oops.
I really hate that operator. No, Halo upstairs above you. The hatch is open. The hatch is open.
I know it is. There he is. I got her to drop down, guys.
Oh my god.
That's what I was trying to do. Anyways. Time to look at the comments. This one is this Minecraft? Are you sure? I see how it is. I'm not thick enough for you, am I? I'm shooketh. This got me shook. Okay. Thanks, Trap. That's nice. This still isn't Minecraft, though, so, yeah. The twist at the end. Guys, I wonder if there's a twist at the end.
Oh, this is Trap. This is actually a name Trap.
Yeah, their name is actually Trap. Cradling my
You know.
4-year-old daughter in my arms, all I could do was listen as the screaming outside the house got louder and louder. Interspersed with the sounds of violence and horrible, wet thuds, and the unmistakable echo of muscle and sinew resisting the force that was slowly tearing them apart. It started just 3 days ago. Something happened out there in the world, and before we get the news of what's going on, seemingly half of the world is gone. Police and military were unable to stop it. Providing such a short frame of resistance, it's hard to know whether it was real or just a fluke. There was no centralized target, no way to use our most powerful weapons, not without incinerating ourselves in the process. They poured forth across the world, from wherever it was that it started. I hear banging on the door downstairs, and the screams of people being slaughtered. Unable to mount a proper resistance against such force, it doesn't take long before the pounding gives way to splintering. The sound is shattering wood. They're in the house. No more than a moment or two passes before the door to the bedroom starts shuddering. The things I piled against it are holding for now, but I know, realistically, that they're going to manage to come through. I keep rocking my little girl, humming a lullaby in her ear, to calm her as she cries.
Holy shit.
The pounding
Dude.
grows in force and volume, the frame starting to crack. I put my little girl on my lap, her back to my chest, and I stroke her head with both hands. From the top of her scalp down across her ears, just as I've done since she was a baby. Just the way she loved it. The effect is instantaneous. Her desperate crying calms into a series of sobs and hiccoughs. Her small body shuddering against mine. In fear, I keep humming to her, soothing her hair, acting for all the world as if nothing as if nothing was out of place. Not a single thing amiss. Slowly, in a reverse cadence of the sound of splintering wood, she calms down. I can feel it. When she stops tensing as I keep stroking her down the sides of her head, a final hiccough and a sob. She falls quiet, her body relaxed. She doesn't even have time to realize what's happening as I twist her neck with a violent jerk, accompanied with a dry snap of sound. With dry snap a sound. What? With by a dry snap by what? By a dry snap of a sound. Jesus Christ. She's dead before she can even slump it down into my lap. The door giving way, the furniture pushed back. I may be torn limb for limb while I scream, but at least my baby angel's safe from harm.
Huh.
Alright. Are you staying for one more or are you leaving, Trenton?
I'll stay for one more.
Alright. I pointed the gun at the sick bastard who killed my wife. He sobbed as he feared for what was to come. I pulled the trigger, if only he spoke, and tried to reason with me. Then maybe he could have lived. But that obviously wasn't going to happen. After all, he was born just a few minutes ago. Nothing?
I feel like if there is a real life situation of these stories, like there probably is, but if there
I do too. Okay, there's a lot of comments. Hold on. This got me shook. I'm sad this is not Minecraft. How come? Sayo, I love you now. All homo. Why? Because reasons. The sub. Oh, yeah. I now have more subs than Halomanmax. I saw. Oof. I'm Trex Runner 3. Yeah, I'm just having fun. These stories having me shook AF.
Yep.
Is there more comments? God dang it. No, I'm not reading them. Forget it. I'll wait till I die.
there is.
Return of the Messiah. In the year 2026, the Messiah came back down to Earth. She performed miracles and cured the sick. There was no doubt as to her authenticity. Authenticity, god dang it. She appeared to all nations at once. All believed, all worshipped her. Sometime later, after this period of our history known as the Age of Peace, she dropped a bombshell on us. She warned us that heaven was almost full. Nobody had gone to hell during this age. There were a fixed amount of spots left. Paradise would be closed to all who died after the gates closed. That is when the mass suicides began. Taking your own life, she had told us, was not a sin if you died a pious man. The race was on. She looked on and was pleased. She returned to her home, to a throne of fire and flames, and greeted all with a nod of wicked horns.
Biohazard container has been located. Insertion in 10 seconds.
Alright, oh, this one's a long one. I'm gonna wait till I die.
Insertion in 5 seconds.
Alright.
What do y'all think of these stories,
The
man?
biohazard container location.
They're improving my speech skills.
Yeah, I noticed that I slowly got better as I was reading them.
Yep, that's an improvement. We should do this more often.
I also like it because it's accompanied with, you know, great gameplay, as I do say so myself, because I'm just that good of a gamer, you know. Quality gameplay. But no, for real, I mean, I like them. They're pretty interesting, actually.
Yes. And Trap is,
I'm not sure who Trap is.
me either.
Why would you give him more subs, him/her? Actually, I'm pretty sure it's a dude since he said all homo. Anyways, why'd you give them more subs than me?
I didn't.
Secure the biohazard container. Resume securing the container once the threat is
Then it-
neutralized. 1 op 4 remaining.
I'm picking up armor. Thanks for the armor, Rook.
Yep.
Nice work. Biohazard
Alright.
secured.
I flung myself through the door and vaulted the toppled, long-dead refrigerator that served as an ineffective barricade in front of me. My legs propelled me through the room and into the small hallway on the other side. I couldn't stop to eat the expired contents of the fridge, appealing to me despite their stench after several days without food. The shrieks of pain and cries for mercy around me spurred my body onward and filled me with unexpected energy in spite of my hunger. We were at war. I came to a halt in front of a small bathroom. A noise. Something behind the shower curtain. My fear heightened, and images of the enemy flooded my mind. Merciless beasts wearing human skin, devouring indiscriminately, accepting no pleas and respecting no argument. Zombies. It had begun as we expected, with a virus. The original infected were almost a cliché. There was no humanity left in them. Just mindless rage, twisted bodies, and some primal urge to consume others. Our generation had prepared. Almost obsessive focus with the monster. For this monster. The first wave was eradicated with almost laughable ease. We were not prepared for adaptation. We were not prepared for the creature we bred by destroying instantly recognizable zombie. A creature with more tact. Most of the first zombies were killed at close range. You understand, since longer range attacks were less likely to be fatal. We had trained ourselves, even before the outbreak, to equate infection with death. When it came to zombies, a person died when their eyes clouded over and they started biting. Not when you put a bullet in their head. The new strain of virus still controlled the body, yes. But it left other faculties to the host. Maybe you could pull a trigger on a hopelessly crazed caricature of your best friend, your spouse, your child. But what if there was still a soul behind those eyes? If even they attacked, they sobbed and screamed in their own voice. All the virus needed was a moment's hesitation. I bet you hesitate. I did. Which is why I can only watch as my arm wrenched back the shower curtain, my hands reached for the cowering child. Why I could only beg for forgiveness before the virus used my mouth. Ooh, I almost died there. Oh, I am dead. Anyways, which is why I can only beg for forgiveness before the virus used my mouth to tear ragged, bloody hunks from his body. Why I couldn't even vomit as my hunger dissipated with the now sickeningly familiar taste of human flesh. We were at war, and I am the enemy.
Savannah.
Shit, I can't lean.
Run, 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 run.
Op 4, last operator standing. Op 4 eliminated.
What was
Successful.
I ran around. Anyways, oh, I like the start of this one. This one's like, so I lost my phone. Anyways, last night a friend rushed me out of the house to catch the opening act at a local bar's music night. After a few drinks, I realized my phone wasn't in my pocket. I checked the table where we were sitting at. The bar, the bathrooms, and after no luck, I used my friend's phone to call mine. After 2 rings, someone answered, gave out a low, raspy giggle, and hung up. They didn't answer again. I eventually gave it up as a lost cause and headed home. I found my phone lying on my nightstand, right where I left it.
Fuck.
Here they come again, the brave ones. Another Halloween night. The kids are back to prove their fearlessness.
Find the biohazard
The
container
old
location.
house's floorboards creak beneath their sneakers. Only half an hour until midnight, so I have to work fast. I start with their flashlight, blowing lightly against it so that it flickers. But this inspires little more than a nervous giggle. 15 minutes until midnight. Time to take things up a notch. I hover up to the ceiling and will my body into flesh. My every nerve is on fire, but they've given me no choice. I force drops of blood to trickle out my nose. But the boys below don't notice. I knock up against the ceiling, but they won't even look up.
10 seconds.
I thought this place was supposed to be haunted, says the leader. What a joke. 5 minutes
5
until
seconds before
midnight.
insertion.
I'm running out of time. With the last of my strength, I scream, so loud that they'll finally turn up to look up at me.
Proceed with location.
I like to think I put on a good show. I sway of an invisible noose, and blood flows freely from my nostrils now. A couple of drops hit a skinny one with the crew cut. The boys scream and run into the night. Just in time. Below me I hear the thing turn. It's disappointment. Palpable. For now it sleeps, but one day I will fail. The boys will be too brave, and I won't scare them out in time. One day they'll wake it. That's
Whoever said
actually
that trap moved.
that's creepy that that actually happened. I meant that
Yeah.
that on its own.
There's some good stories. I just said that trap moved.
Oh. Were you trying to start your 7-year gay relationship, Trap?
Hell yeah.
Oh, that's nice. What's up, Cap?
That's the hell, dude. Take that kill.
Oh, from above. There's one above. Watch out behind you.
Yeah, I was already dead, dude.
Alright, nap in the
Oh.
car. Mommy always leaves me and Daddy home on Saturday nights, and me and Daddy always go to get ice cream in the car after dinner.
That guy's about to get the ace.
I have to sit in the back seat until I'm a big boy. I go in the kitchen to see what Daddy's is cooking for dinner. After my Barney movie is over, but he's not in there this time. I saw a note on the counter that said Mommy and Uncle James were going somewhere together. I'm not sure I didn't read that good. I go find Daddy in the garage. I shut the door behind me like I'm supposed to. Daddy's in the car and he's already turned the car on. We must not be eating dinner tonight. Only ice cream. I get in the back seat behind Daddy since I'm not a big boy yet. Daddy doesn't say anything when I say hello to him. Maybe he can't hear me over the loud
Doesn't
car.
trust.
One
I think
friendly operator
I'll take a nap
resume securing
on the way
container once the threat is
to
neutralized.
ice cream. I feel
Op
kind of
4
sleepy.
eliminated all friendlies.
Gas.
Yep, carbon monoxide. What they don't tell you
Why
about the
they
dead.
teabag on?
I don't want to sound mean, but the dead are pretty clueless. Hold on, let me pick them up. Anyways. I've always seen them when I was younger. Everyone thought I was talking to imaginary friends. After a couple years, when I overheard my parents talk about calling a psychologist, I realized what I was talking to. See, ghosts don't tend to realize they're dead. And they don't look like in the movies. They look just like us. I'm pretty smart for a 13-year-old, so I start noticing certain patterns to tell them apart from the living. They could be a bit distant from living people, or you'd see them try to talk to people who wouldn't even notice them. Some of them could tell I was different, that I noticed them.
Biohazard container.
Hold on, let me go reinforce.
Yep.
Like this guy I saw after school yesterday. I'm a big boy now. See, I don't need my parents to pick me up. Home is just a short walk away. He was standing away from the other parents, didn't talk to him, just stared at me. That's how I knew he was one of the ghosts. I went over, told him, hold on, told him I knew what he was, and he asked me how I could help him. I don't remember much after that. I think because of what happened this morning. Downstairs, my parents were crying. I tried talking to them, but they ignored me. They must have died last night somehow. Sometimes the new ghost wouldn't talk to me. Some police officers and reporters arrived. They won't talk to me either. Just my parents. It's weird. I've never seen so many ghosts together before. Why won't anyone talk to me?
Cause you're a ghost.
Yeah, he was killed by a freaking like pedophile murderer type man.
Drone moving into scan.
I ruined the scare for you.
Swapping mags!
So there's 4 of them.
Setting a nest!
Enemy drone is coming in for a scan. You're exposed.
You're exposed.
Actions speak louder than words.
Oh, it's
Yep,
glass.
yep.
A message from your personal
You're
demons.
about to get scanned. Starting
Hello,
the
my dear. You do not know who I am, but I know you. I am one of the three demons that were assigned to you at birth. You see, some people in this world are designed for greatness, designed to live happy, fulfilling lives. You, I am afraid, you are not one of those people, and it is our job to make sure of that. Who are we? Oh yeah, of course. How rude am I? Allow me to introduce us. Shame is my younger brother, the demon on your left shoulder. Shame tells you that you're a freak, that those thoughts you have are not normal, that you will never fit in. Shame whispered into your ear when your mother found you playing with yourself as a child. Shame is the one that makes you hate yourself. Fear sits on your right shoulder. He is my older brother, as old as life itself. Fear fills every dark corner with monsters, turns every stranger on a dark street into a murderer. Fear stops you from telling your crush how you feel. He tells you it is better not to try to let people see you fail. Fear makes you build your own prison. Who am I then? I'm the worst of your demons. But you see me as a friend. You turn to me because you have nothing else, because I live in your heart. I am the one who forces you to endure, the one who prolongs your torment. Sincerely, Hope.
It's actually a nicer one.
Sincerely, what?
Hope.
Oh,
Basically, no, the reason he calls himself the worst demon is because he, what's it called? He does what? Frick, what am I trying to say? Oh yeah, no, he prolongs what you're doing. He just makes you keep going no matter how bad you feel, or something. I don't know. I don't know. It's supposed to be creepy. It's supposed to be creepy, okay? Be scared. Alright. Find another one?
alright. Yeah, I'll play one more. I don't know, I'm just gonna keep playing until I get tired.
Alright, this one's Mommy's home. I heard one. A father is laying in bed after waking up. He grabs... Oh, wait, no. Dang it. You read this one. Alright, this one's by BuzzFeed. No, not really.
I'm just gonna say a riddle. Right?
Okay.
Okay. A father and a son are in a car. They're driving happily down the street when suddenly they got in a car crash. The father died, but the son was immediately went to the hospital. When they're gonna go for surgery, the doctor said, "I can't operate on this boy. He's my son." Who is the doctor?
The mother.
Okay, because some people don't get it.
Huh.
This
Oh my
scene
god,
for
this one's a
10 minutes.
freaking paragraph. I'm not doing that. Alright, 9 intensely creepy stories to really get under your skin. Number 9, The Hellbound Heart. On March 16, 1995, Terry Cottle shot and killed himself in the bathroom of the home he shared with his wife, Cheryl. There had been an argument. There always had been arguments, and Terry had threatened himself with a gun just months before. Cheryl heard the shot from the other side of the door, watching her husband enter the bathroom with a .22. She heard him gasp, "Help me, I'm dying," and then he was gone. He fired a single round into his brain. The only possible silver lining was that Terry, 33, had been in good physical condition, and an organ donor, Terry's heart saved the life of 57-year-old Sony Graham, who had contracted an incurable virus of the heart the year earlier. In 1996, Sony wrote a letter of appreciation to Terry's widow, and through the donor procurement agency had advised against contact, they decided to meet, and they did. Sony fell instantly in love with the widow, the man whose heart now beat in his chest. I felt like I had known her for years. I couldn't keep my eyes off her, Sony told a local newspaper in 2006. They were both married at the time, but within a few years they both had divorced. They moved in together at 2001. It was a rocky relationship, just like Cheryl and Terry's had been. But they eventually married in 2004. 4 years later, with no indication that anything was seriously amiss, Sony's life ended the same way Terry's did, suicide by gunshot. The heart that had beat on for 12 years of borrowed time stopped beating for good.
He's near here. I said no. Digger's near here. He's really lit.
Where is he?
Oh, good job, buddy boo. The unspeakable banquet. Pardon us while we take a brief
Hey,
detour
watch out,
through
watch out. He's
crazy
coming to you.
town.
He's coming to you. He's coming to you.
Yep.
Since we failed to mention it earlier, please note that some of these entries contain stories that are not for the squeamish, and
Fuck
this
me, dude.
particular entry, to paraphrase the great Roger Ebert, will make you squeam. Asexual is a perfectly valid sexual orientation, or more specifically, a lack of one. Some people simply don't identify sexually at all, and don't see sexuality as a component of their being. While this is normal, if rare, Japanese artist Mayo something took his asexuality to the furthest extreme to any of us would ever care to think about. He surgically removed his genitals. But that's not all. Oh, if only that were all. We're saying that a lot today. Mayo held a banquet during which 6 guests paid the equivalent of about $250 per plate for the privilege of eating Mayo something's cooked genitals. And yes, they knew what they were eating, willingly paid money for it. And even one blogged about the experience. Although only 6 ate, over 70 people attended and watched, despite somehow adhering to health and cooking codes and preparing his genitals with mushrooms and parsley. No, we cannot believe we just typed that earlier. Police finally settled on a charge they can make stick: indecent exposure. As of this writing, Mayo could be looking at a hefty fine and a couple years in jails. So what possible reason could we have for his stunt? To raise awareness of sexual minorities, ex-gender asexual people? We'll leave it to you to ponder. Serving your own cooked genitals to paying customers is a valid method of raising awareness of anything except your own gibbering insanity. That one was retarded to pronounce, to be honest. My bad, y'all.
That's fine.
Drone has located the biohazard container.
Thank you.
Oh, I almost had it.
Yeah.
Alright, number 7, the victim's ghost. When hospital orderly Alan Showery was called in for questioning by Chicago police in 1977, he knew what it was about, or rather, whom it was about. Bassa had also worked at the Edgewater Hospital, and early in 1976, Showery had gone to her apartment and stabbed her to death before setting her on fire. He was hoping the police didn't know anything. They knew everything. Teresa, that's a weird name. The woman he murdered had told him. Earlier in 1977, respiratory technician Remy, who had worked with Tourette's, but not known her well, saw the dead woman loitering about at the hospital employees' lounge. Soon thereafter, a distinct change came over Remy. She started displaying strange mannerisms and following routines that were not her own. She became distant, sometimes seeming to almost be in a trance. She would sing songs she didn't know, then deny singing them, or even saying anything. The strange events grew worse. Until one day, when Remy fell back on her bed and spoke to her family in Teresa's voice. Remy's husband, Joe, was a doctor, and Tourette's mainly addressed him, begging him to go to the police. And she had plenty of information. She named Showery and had Joe write down various items he had stolen from her apartment, and the names and phone numbers of relatives who confirmed that these items were hers. Although the police were understandably skeptical, they brought Showery in and watched his alibi crumble as Tourette's relatives pointed out her valuables, which police had indeed found in Showery's home. He subsequently confessed and was convicted of her murder. Remy had never had such experience. Despite the accuracy of her information, the case's appearance unsolved mystery in 1996. No one has ever been able to explain it, how it or why it happened to her. KMS, man. Oh, man. Oh, don't waste a smoke. I'm gloozy poozy, man. Don't do this to me. You know, I'll waste 2 shots. Hey, think activate your ability. Or not, never mind. Don't do that. Oh, well, that was a little late, now wasn't it?
I'm not thinking.
I know, but Cool Soul is.
I'm Jaeger.
Oh, you lucky ducky. Oh, freak. Alright, we got this, guys. Let's go. This one's in the bag. Think activate your ability.
Here comes the adrenal surge.
One Op 4 remaining. Hostile activity. Neutralize the threat. Op 4 eliminated. Friendly mission success.
Alright. The Enfield Horror. On the night of April 15, 1973, a little boy by the name of Greg Garrett was playing in his backyard in Enfield, Illinois, when he was attacked, not by a person or an animal anyone has ever seen. Before to this day, no one knows what it was, but it tore his shoes to pieces and left him in tears. Just minutes later, local resident Henry McDaniel opened his front door after hearing a light scratch and got a good look at what would come to be known as the Enfield Horror. Greg and Henry's descriptions were pretty much exactly the same. The horror was short, no more than 1.5 meters, 5 feet, and had 3 legs, yes 3. It also possessed short stubby arms ending in claws or talons that seemed to be placed in the center of its body rather than its sides. It was hairy yet slimy, and reddish-pink eyes, the size of flashlights. Just minutes earlier, Henry's children had insisted that a monster of some kind had tried to break into their house. While he and his wife had been out to dinner, he laughed it off at first, but upon seeing this thing on the porch, Henry slammed the door and went directly for his gun. Henry ripped open the door and fired 4 shots. He was sure he hit it on the first, but then he said the thing hissed like a wildcat before bounding away, covering 25 meters, 75 feet, in a few powerful leaps. He immediately called the police, and over the next few days, several more sightings were reported by searchers, sheriff's deputies, and even the radio station news director and his crew. Henry also saw it once more a couple weeks later out of his window as it wandered near some railroad tracks. And then it was gone. Whatever it was, it hasn't been seen since. Let's hope it stays that way. These are some good stories.
Yes, they are.
Like, I low-key want to stay up so I can read more.
But you can't.
Frag out!
Oh, you lucky ducky. Yeah, well, I have a AoE grenade too.
One friendly operator
Oh,
remaining.
good on you, buddy.
Prevent further access to the biohazard container.
The children. Brian Bethel is a respected veteran journalist and current columnist for the Something Reporter News. In the 90s, Brian wrote a blog, Pierce detailing an experience that would soon come to be shared by many others. His story is unique in that it was the first, and it was told by someone with an eye for journalistic detail, and absolutely nothing to gain, and a career to lose, by spinning such an implausible yarn. One evening, as Brian sat parked outside the local movie theater, filling out a check for the night deposit next door, his driver's side was approached by a couple children, no more than 10 or 12. Only one of the boys spoke, a request for money. But even before any words came out of his mouth, Brian was gripped by fear, an irrational, heart-pounding fear that he couldn't explain. The boy told a story. They wanted to see a movie. They'd left their money at home, and they couldn't. And could Brian give them a ride? Brian tried to avoid looking at them, not wanting his fear to show. He noticed that the last showing of the movie had already begun, and the boy implored. They were just a couple of kids. They didn't have a gun. As Brian finally locked eyes with the boy, his mind went wild with horror. Both the kids' eyes were coal black. Stammering an excuse, he began to roll up his window and put the car into gear. As the little boy called out angrily, "We can't come in unless you say it's okay. Let us in." Brian burned rubber all the way home and wrote about the experience. Later that night, apparently, he's far from the only one. Stories abound on the web about black-eyed people, usually children but sometimes adults, with similar requests who cause unexplained panic in all who encounter them. Perhaps it's just those eyes, or the odd, somewhat alien nature of their speech, or the malevolent, predatory nature of that those who encounter them can feel, lurking just beneath the surface. No one has stuck around long enough to find out just who or what they really are. Perhaps you'll find out some dark night on the side street as you're walking alone. Let us know, will you?
Fuck, dude.
That's the end of that one. Alright, Trent, are you getting off or one more?
I'm gonna get off.
Okay. I'm gonna finish the list and then I'm gone. I'm at number 4, so
Alright, later.
see ya.
I might go on, what's it called? Fort.
Alright. Well, I guess I'm by myself. That's Gucci. Number 4. The Entity. Lots of people wish that one day the story of their life will be made into a Hollywood movie. Unless it's jaw-droppingly disturbing horror films like 1982's The Entity, the movie that opens with a woman being raped in her bed by an invisible being. which is based on the events that befell Doris Bither of Culver City, California in the early 70s. According to the paranormal investigators who looked into her case, Doris begged them for help after overhearing their conversation in a bookstore. She was a complete mess, alcoholic, constantly drunk, abused by her parents, and abusive towards her own sons. She would periodically be physically assaulted by three entities nobody can see, and the investigators, there was little disputing their authenticity. A room full of them saw it with their own eyes. As Doris began cursing at and otherwise provoking whatever the entities were, lights appeared around the room, followed by swirling green mist in the corner, in which the shape of a man's upper body appeared. Just the shape, no facial features, just disembodied torso in the swirling green mist. And that's when one of the investigators fainted. The photos captured exactly captured during the incident don't show exactly what the investigators described.
Secure the room.
That's one of them above. Doris and her troubled family. Some investigators think that the three entities were psychic projections of Doris' hostility towards her three sons. Haven't been heard from since the 1980s.
Op 4 located the biohazard container.
The Saw. Get ready to squeam again. We won't say we're sorry. You're the one who keeps reading. In June 2011... In June 2011, emergency services dispatched an ambulance to the home of 65-year-old Barry Hemburn. Barry was a retired sports car enthusiast and a paraplegic.
Down to 5 seconds.
He'd been left wheelchair-bound in 2000 after being shot by a neighbor in an argument. Barry had told the emergency operator that he was bleeding heavily and they feared the worst, as he'd fallen silent during the call. They certainly weren't expecting what they found, which was the shock of their lives, and the grisly stuff urban legends are made from. Barry, who had lost all feelings in his leg, had made an enthusiastic attempt to remove one of them with a hacksaw. He had recently become despondent because he was having so much trouble getting into and out of his beloved sports cars, and his overtures to his doctors about the amputation, and thus have been rebuffed. Barry had apparently decided that if he began surgery himself, the doctors wouldn't have any choice but to continue. When the paramedics arrived, his right leg was almost totally detached. The plastic sack he used as a tourniquet covered in massive amounts of blood, and his bag was sitting beside him, neatly packed for the hospital. Alright, I'm gonna finish this round before I do the next one.
Op 4, last stop standing. You have entered an enemy-controlled area. Leave now. You have been spotted by hostiles. Fall back.
Babes in position.
Ooh, nice job. He's
Friendly, last operator standing.
That's good. The monster under the bed. Then there's the story of Guy Whitetail, a former cricketer, one who plays cricket, which is a British sports. Americans who do not that long ago enjoyed a peaceful night that slumber at Hamani Lodge in Zimbabwe. While getting ready for his day, sitting on the edge of his bed, the 40-year-old had no idea he had just lived was still living. Really, everyone's childhood nightmare. Still oblivious as he began preparing breakfast in the suite's kitchen, he was startled by the blood-curdling screams of a housekeeper coming from where he had just been sleeping. Whitetail came running back into the suite to receive the shock of his life. For under his bed was a thrashing 2.5 meter, 8 foot, 150 kilogram, 300 pound crocodile. The housekeeper's screams had startled it, But before that, it had lain motionless for hours, while Whitetail had prepared the bed, slept through the night, and sat with his feet dangling mere inches away. We assume he immediately began making plans to buy a futon and a very large weapon. Number 1. The sleepwalking suicide. Soon after 18-year-old Carissa Glenn, I'm just going to refer to her as Glenn, moved into her new Cornwall flat, she began sensing a presence. She had a feeling that someone or something was there when she was alone at night. She'd often brought it up with a family and friends over the months or so that she had lived in the flat. She could hardly have been surprised. She heard a rumor before moving in that the previous tenant had hung himself. According to her friends, she would have extraordinarily vivid nightmares about hanging, in addition to feelings of being haunted. Her friends were concerned, as Carissa had a history of sleepwalking and acting out her dreams. Although the rumor about the previous tenant actually proved false, Carissa may have just been haunted after all. On April 14, 2008, the happy young woman who had been out for drinks with friends the evening had hung herself with a scarf. Well, her friends agreed she had been happy, except for one thing. She sometimes didn't want to go back to her flat at night because of the presence in the dreams. And with that, I wish you very own sweet dreams. As I drop my phone. God freaking dang it. Alright, well, I'm gonna finish the game and then the stream's over, so feel free to leave and just let me wallow in my own stupidity. And, yeah.
Activating adrenaline.
Yep, I knew somebody was there. I'm retarded. Physically freaking retarded. That was a good match, but I have no sarcastic comments to add, therefore this is not good commentary, so I'm gonna just go to bed. And I wish you all a good night. Gonna check my comments, okay.